Hey everyone, nowadays people dealing with data on a daily basis, quite often they will have a date attribute column for them to handle the data. And that's pretty important because you're going to use the date in different scenarios. For example, pivot table, you want to group the date by day, amount, a year, and also table format, you want to quickly scan through certain amounts for a particular task, which make this session very important because the date has to be a date format for you to process anything against this date column. But quite often you will have the situation where the date is not in the proper format, which is in the wrong shape. You need to have a touch or manipulation on that. So today we're going to go through several techniques to tackle the situation to successfully convert so-called or so-look date into a date proper format. So here we can see there's a face column. Face column is indicating that the date that supposed to be a date or look like a date, but eventually when you do something, you just cannot do that. So the first cell, which is the B2, is the correct format of the date. Anything downwards is not the proper format of the date. So we need to have some cleansing process against those things. Very quick way to identify if a date has been in a proper shape is just by looking at alignment, because by default in Excel, date is actually a series of numbers. So if I convert this date into a number, it's going to be a number, which means number you will need to be aligned to the right hand side. So that's why when a date is in a proper format like B2, be aligned to the right hand side of a cell. This one is not in the right shape, and hence Excel will recognize the data type of this cell is general. If we control 1 and we bring this together, you can see that's a general format. In general format, everything going to be aligned to the left hand side because as a people, your reading habit of about textual content is from the left to when you have a number. The reason you want that aligned to the right hand side because you want to make the precision so you can compare number to number, which one is bigger, which one is smaller. Remember, the correct format of a date will be always aligned to the right hand side, which is indicating the underlying information is a serial number, is just a number in Excel in particular. So let's go into the second section, which is when the date is stored in the text, what kind of tools or solutions we have over them. So the first one, you can just use a tax, a formula to have that solved. So we can say value. This formula will convert any date stored in a text format into a serial number. If I choose B3 as my target argument, if I click enter, so it will convert that into a serial number. You can see that's the form. After this, you need to nest this formula with another text, which is called text formula. Text formula will help you to reformat that serial number back into date format. So we're gonna say date, day, month. Yeah. I just put 4 characters and click enter. So now that's the date in the correct format. Next is you can use mathematical operation to against that. For example, you can use equal to 0 plus, so like date things. You can see now it's aligned to the right hand side. And this one you can use minus as well, minus 0. It'll align to the right hand side. You can also use this one times 1 or equal to this cell divided by 1. So no matter what kind of mathematical operation you want to do, make sure you are not changing the underlying value. So either by subtract or addition by 0 or just divide it and also multiply by 1, it will have the correct information being presented. Another trick is that you can also use double minus to against this cell, convert that into a proper format as well. And the very interesting solution about this type of issue, you can also use paste special. So what we're going to do is you just copy this cell, make sure the cell you copy has no value at all, and then go into this cell, and then you say you're going to click and paste special. Now you're going to paste the value, and while you paste, you can do operation. So the logic is same as this part. So we're going to just add, then we'll click OK. I can see this has been converted into a serial number, which means can be use a formula to nest around that to have the proper format. For example, the text and format is as a date. Yeah. Okay. Then we break it back. That's something that should be aware of when it's stored in the text. You have several methods to copy that. And this part is we're talking about when it's stored in a serial number. That will be pretty easy. You can just simply select the cell and control 1. Since this format has been in general, you can just swap that to a date and click OK. You have that done. Or you can use formula. We used that before is a text. You can format that into month, year format. You have the correct information underneath that. In this scenario, when the date is in an unreadable format, unreadable means that it's unreadable from the perspective of Excel, and it's a number, but it's not in a serial number that's actually designed for a date. So it's somehow outside that range. But I can read that because if I jump into this cell, I know that this will be the year, this will be the month, and this will be the date. Technical here is just to use a formula. We're going to use the date formula. Before we use the date, we need to specify what's the year, what's the month. So we know the year is from the right-hand side of that cell and 4 characters. Finish this part. For the month is something in the middle, so we use mid. So we're gonna use this against this cell again. And start point is, we know there's 2 characters for the day, right? So we just put start 2. We're gonna moving forward by 2 as well. Close this parenthesis. Go to the last argument. The date is just the left something of this cell, and the precision is 2. We close that. Oh, sorry. This cell, I must have something done wrong. 31st. So this is the date from left to, yes, the month is middle. Okay. The starting point of the middle, which is getting the month, which is 1, 2, right, is actually from the position 3. Now we have the correct date being extracted in the correct format. And then this one is when the data is in the custom delimiter format. You can see and the old text we want to swap is the full stop. And we want to replace that with a proper one, which is a slash, and then we go into here. Now it's convert that into this part, but still it's not recognizable in the Excel. It's just a text. So the solution would be, if I surround that by a value, now you can see it's aligned to right hand side. So it's in the good shape. And this one, when the date is in a custom delimiters, for example, this one, we have several space in between the month and the year, and also 1 space in between the day and month. You can use text column to have that done. For example, this one, we're going to go into, make sure you select that cell first. Go into data, you have text column. We choose that button. And in this window, we're going to say we use delimiter and the next. In this scenario, we don't choose any delimiters. Make sure you treat consecutive delimiters as 1. Going to the next. The next, we're going to choose a data type for this part. We're going to choose a date. But you can see it's not in the date, month, year format. It's actually the month, day, year, and the destination of the conversion will be in this cell. Going back again, and I click finish. Now you can see by using the text to column feature, all good to convert this format into the correct shape. Okay. Now come to the next one, the multi-part text. Multi-part text is the most, complex one because it involves several steps from the 0 to the hero stage. Let's do the another one. The core concept about this is still text to column. For example, in this cell, we're going to say, make sure you select that text to column, and we're not going to use fix, we're going to use delimit. And here, we recognize we need to remove all the things. For example, the comma, we need to remove, tick. We also don't want the space, and make sure you tick this box. Click next. In the next, typically we don't need Sunday. Sunday is just another description of that day. So for this particular column, I don't need it. Just make sure you select the column. You can see you can select different column. For this column, I just say don't import. For this, I will make sure it's a general. This one, I will make sure it's general. This one, I'm going to make sure it's general. That's fine. And the destination, I'm going to start from here and going back to the window. Click finish. Once we have that finish, you can see it's in this 3 cells. It's 3 cells. This one, there's an issue. So if you control 1, you can see that It recognizes the day, but it's not. It just put a general because that's the date of that last day of 2000. And we need a formula called date. For date formula, we need to specify what's the year. So this is the year. For the months, it's a little bit tricky, but fortunately, we have the month formula. Let's write over here. For the month formula, you can use 1 and ampersand, the name of the month, and close parentheses. For the day, we're going to use 31st. Close this parenthesis. Now you can see I have successfully converted this long text, multi-part text format date into a proper date, which is aligned to right-hand side. Okay, that's done. Okay, the last tab is probably the most convenient one for me because it's already indicated that you may have something wrong with your date format. You want to have some little touch on that. Whenever you select the cell, before you select that, you can see there's a little triangle which is green. It's indicating there's something not right from the angle of Excel. And if you click one of cell, there's an exclamation mark. If you click the drop down, it will say text date with 2-digit years, converting to 90 series or 20 series, or ignore the arrow, right? If you click this one, it will convert that into a proper, a proper format and fulfill the year in 4 digits. But if you want to have it in one go, you select them all, choose this one and convert that into 2 series. And in the 2 series, still got an issue. You can see the shape is not right. There's a little apostrophe, leading apostrophe in front of everything. But that part will be easy because you can just use a value in the value to convert that into the proper format. And when you drag it down, it will have that correct date in the correct shape. Okay, thank you guys, and see you in the next round.